So testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now they're standing at the ambo here, giving the announcements, and then they're done with the announcements, and then you're going to hear the music minister or the organ start playing. That's your cue to go to the opening shot with the hymn. Go ahead and go. Okay, they're walking down the aisle during the procession for this part. And after they get done singing the song, you're going to stay with that shot the entire time they're singing the song. And while they're doing that, you're taking the side camera without the graphic and you're going to the chair shot so that when they get done singing, that's where you go. Okay? So I'll give you a second to get that part ready. You should probably be there by now. So the song is done. Father has come up and reverenced the altar, and then he will be back at his chair along with a deacon or without a deacon, depending on which mass we're doing. So then you can go to that shot. So now we have Father standing here at the chair, and he's doing his opening blessing and everything like that. And while that's going on, you're taking the back camera and you're zooming it in for what would be the bulk of the Mass. And when you are ready for that, let me know. Okay, so now you can go to that shot because this is going to be the part that's the back and forth interaction between the priest and the congregation leading up to the collect and going into the first reading. So now he's back and forth. Now we're going to do the collect part. So you're going to come back to the chair shot. He's reading the collect, which leads us into the first reading. And while he's reading that, and some of those are lengthy, some of them are not, you can decide how long you need to stay on him while he's reading that. In the meantime, you're taking that time and splitting it in half, and then you go to the wide shot so that we're ready to go for the first reading. So we're halfway there. Go ahead and go to the wide shot. And they're still reading, and you should be looking at the ambo now in the preview and with the graphic that goes with it. And are you ready to go? Okay, so now they've gotten done. As the person's up here to read the first reading, so you can go ahead and punch that camera. They make the first reading, and they read, and they read, and they read. And in the meantime, on your preview, you're going to have the psalm graphic and camera in the preview. Okay, they've completed their first reading, and they're starting to leave the ambo, so this is where you can punch up the graphic for the psalm. So this will be your wide shot. And then we go through the psalm, and generally the person who did the first reading will do the second reading. Sometimes there is a husband-wife team that will do this, so you may have to make some minor adjustments. Typically I don't, but you can do whatever works for you, especially if there's a drastic change in height. Okay, now we're done with the psalm. Come back to the ambo for the second reading graphic. And now that person's reading. And while they're reading the second reading, you're changing the camera shot to the back camera without a graphic on it, so it's just clean. And they're done with the second reading, and so now you punch up the wide shot, which is the introduction, getting ready to come into the gospel acclamation. So we're in the wide shot, and let's just assume that the reader is the same height as whoever is presenting the gospel, whether it's father or deacon. So go ahead and get your graphic ready for the reader for the gospel. Sometimes they will do incense for the reading, sometimes they will not. It all depends, just kind of play that by ear. And now they're given the reading of the gospel. And so in your preview, you'll have your wide shot again without the graphic. And from there, he's done with the gospel. And you go to the wide shot. While you're in the wide shot, there's going to be all the things that go on with getting preparation for the homily. If it's Archbishop Gullickson, there'll be the reverence of the gospel and the Bible. He'll take the book over to him. You can leave that on the wide shot for him to do, and then whoever's going to give the homily will come over here and do that. And then when the homily comes up, you have that camera by itself without a graphic. You can go ahead and punch that camera for the homily. They'll be here till the homily is over with. And then now you're just kind of back and forth between the side shot and the wide shot. Homily is over with. You go to the wide shot, and they're doing the prayers leading up to the prayers of the faithful, at which point you'll come back to the ambo, and they'll do prayers of the faithful. Again, that could be the deacon, it could be the reader. So, you'll have to figure that one out whenever it happens. They get done with the last reading, which usually, or the last prayer of the faithful, which usually is the prayer for those who have passed. So that's kind of your cue to know that your next thing you're going to have is the wide shot, and they go over to the altar and start prepping. So go ahead and go to the wide shot. So now he's at the altar, and you can get just the generic shot of the altar. We don't need to zoom it into unless you want to practice that part. So everything is being prepped for the altar, and then he'll do a couple prayers back and forth where the congregation interacts with him, and then he'll get into his prayers. That'll give you time to make that camera in the position where you need to be. If you don't get it on the first try, there'll be a break in there where you can adjust it slightly, but nobody's going to know that you did. Okay, then you go to the shot of the altar with the priest, and it's there and the wide shot back and forth until you get through communion. Okay, we've done everything here, back and forth, and we're into communion now, so that would be the wide shot. And that allows everybody to see and experience the communion, that those that are here and then the ones that are watching on the live stream will see basically what we see while we're here. During that time, you can move the side camera to the chair. Okay, we're all done with communion. They have all the vessels to clean and everything like that, so you can stay on the wide shot until after Father sits down, and then once he stands back up again, then you come to the tight shot of him at the chair. During that time, when you're on the chair shot, now you zoom that back camera out, and when you're ready to go over that, you push the button for the graphic for the closing song. Father will give the final blessing, and you'll either hear the organist or pianist, or the singer will announce the song, and then they'll start playing. You go to the wide shot, and you hold that till Father processes out, and you are done.